Hello and welcome to Muscatine Viewpoint. I'm your host, Chad T. Bishop, and I'm excited to be back on the airwaves with this particular show, Muscatine Viewpoint. Believe it or not, we haven't been on the air with this show for 2 years, and we're starting a brand new season. We've got 4 or 5 episodes lined up for this particular year. This is a show that's really about presenting local news, topics from community members, and perspectives of community leaders. And we are going to focus a little bit this year on upcoming political candidates for mayor, council, maybe school board, and we'll also have some other topics. You are in charge of what we talk about on the show, so if you have an idea or want to be a guest, you can give me a call at the phone number or email me. We'll give you that information later on the show, because this is not my show, it is your show, the public show on Public Access Channel 9. Now, the opinions that come out of my mouth and or the guest's mouths are the responsibility of the producer, which is myself, not MPW or MCC. So if there's something offensive, go ahead and give me a call. If you like what you see, you probably won't call me, but I know that you did like it if you don't call me. So thanks in advance for that. Before we get to our special guest, whose name is Jeff Osborne, running for 2nd Ward City Council, we wanted to kind of talk about what we did over the weekend a few weeks ago. We were very proud for Channel 9's part in Muscapalooza. We had a successful event, barring the weather, but we had over 23 musical acts come down to the Muscatine Riverfront. First ever event of its kind. We had 10 arts and crafts vendors. We were happy to be able to record most of those events, so you can tune in to Channel 9 and check out clips from the concert or go to our YouTube concert. And as you're seeing, this is one of our promo videos. Eventually, we will give you a chance to look at all the highlights. Like I said, on Channel 9's YouTube page, there is a Muscapalooza oral exam set list. You can take a look at all of these bands all at a time. We hope to put that on again. I hope to put that on again next year. Similar, bringing back Great River Days, but Great River Days won't be called Great River Days. It'll be called Muscapalooza. So thanks for everybody involved with that and for showing up. It was a success. We got all our money back. There were a lot of expenses, but we hope to do it again. And most importantly, tune into Channel 9 to catch up some of those highlights. Now, without further ado, we've got candidates for council, candidates for mayor coming on to Viewpoint, but right now we're going to focus on our very special guest, Jeff Osborne. How are you doing?
Fantastic. How you doing, Chad?
Pretty good. Thanks for coming out and being our first guest and giving our students here an opportunity to learn by doing and producing this great show. But I want to give you just a chance to catch people up to speed. Believe it or not, not everybody knows who you are. But give us a little background. Give us your background kind of spiel, a little bit about how you came to Muscatine, where you work, your home, anything you want to tell us just to get us up to speed about who you are.
Okay. I'm a senior engineer at the Mid-American Power Plant south of town here. A lot of people call it the Loiza Power Station. I've worked there for about 7 years. And I'm a candidate for 2nd Ward City Council. My wife and I live in the St. Mary's former church property. We've been restoring that for about 7 years now into our home and bed and breakfast. My wife owns Creations by Oz downtown. She works that with my daughter Hannah. My Hannah is a senior in high school, and she's looking forward to Muscatine Community College next year.
Okay, great. So you chose Muscatine sort of as an opportunity to, it sounds like you kind of randomly chose Muscatine. I'm going to ask you what you like about Muscatine, what needs change, except I have a feeling that that's going to fall in line with your platform, if you will, or your perspectives on why you're running for city council. And let's just start with that, because that is probably the question everybody gets asked, regardless, is what motivated you to run for city council? I know you did run for school board as well and had a lot of thoughts on that. I know you as somebody who started the Muscatine Community News and is a factor in helpful communicating information in a very neutral way on social media. But tell us a little bit about how and why you wanted to run for 2nd Ward City Council.
Okay. Well, to step back a little bit, our coming here was not random. We went through a methodical process for 3 months' time, looking for the right community to settle our business in. My work at that time was secondary. I had taken an early retirement from a prior workplace that I'd worked for 20 years. We'd moved all over the country, 7 times in 20 years. And so for 3 months, we did pretty much a nationwide search. We looked at places like Branson, Missouri, Pella. We're originally from Iowa, and we really liked the opportunity here in Muscatine. We're very excited about Muscatine from the day we came here. So
Wow.
we chose it here. I had 9 other job offers. We had 9 other opportunities. We investigated them all. We went to all their schools, and we chose Muscatine over all those other opportunities.
What kind of stands out as, like, at some point you had it narrowed down to 2? What kind of stands out as something that pushed you towards Muscatine, or maybe pulled you away from another town? Like maybe another town was kind of off the radar because something kind of stood out as a red flag. You know, obviously all communities are great in their own way, but
Yeah, we chose Muscatine specifically for its opportunities. We felt it was better than all the others we had. Many of the others, like Branson, Missouri, is pretty well built out. Real estate's pretty high. Not, you know, there's obviously a set there, but coming to Muscatine at the time, before the hotel was downtown, before Mississippi Drive was done, all these things were, we might do these things, and it just seemed like a great opportunity to come here. We've lived in every state along the Mississippi River. We know river towns. In my opinion, Muscatine is top 3 in its access to the river. It's one of the only ones that hasn't spoiled its access to the river from its downtown area. It's the only place you can put your foot in the water and for less than a block or 2 walk to downtown restaurants and everything right from your boat. And so this is the river town of Mississippi River, in my opinion. And so it has that. It's hard to build that. Many cities have given that away, and Muscatine has that.
So on your, why did you choose then to run for city council? I know you kind of mentioned that specifically, but there's a passion that I've noticed about you to get involved in the community. And like you said, you chose this community very advertently, and you seem to care. Not that other people don't, but you really seem to have a commitment to keeping something that you like and going in the right direction.
Exactly. The reason I'm running for city council today is if I were to win, I'd be the only one on council with a lot of the experiences around construction management, housing, and changing a culture of a community to, well, specifically our city services into more of a customer service oriented. I like Carol, our city manager. She's energetic, and she's got what she calls her lofty goal of providing city services in an improved customer service manner, and I can help with that.
Now, I happen to have access to a first draft of an upcoming ad that you're working on, and just reading over some of your, what I've seen in Discover Muscatine did a nice article on you, because they're asking you some of the same questions. And you some things that stuck out to me is they're sort of like your priorities, your bullet points that I kind of extrapolated from that were that you wanted to focus on housing, city planning, and you also were interested in talking about the customer service angle of things.
Exactly.
Now, are we customers? Are we citizens? But I appreciate when somebody mentions customer service, because at some point you are elected to serve.
Exactly.
So as far as the city planning, kind of to expand upon that a little bit, what is going right and what maybe has some room for improvement? I know you did mention construction a little bit. Whenever I try to go to South End right now, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's pretty tricky because there's a lot. The construction is in such a way that even I, as a lifelong resident, get stopped dead in my tracks quite a few times on my way to South End. So for right now, but I'm not saying that's anything that you're saying. But what did you mean by helping out as a city council member with respect to that?
Well, the way you framed it fairly well. We have a lot of good projects. They're necessary projects. As I said, we've lived in a lot of river towns, and this is a growing one. We've seen ones where these kinds of things are not happening and they're dying. But even though they're good, a lot of people like them when they're done. There could be a few things that people complain about and everything, but at the end of the day, people like the projects are done, and at least the potholes get fixed.
Yeah, that's really it. Potholes.
But along the way, we leave a lot of bodies in our wake. We flooded one individual's basement 2 times and rebuilt their basement 2 times on 8th Street. We pushed out the 2nd and Mulberry roundabout and took it off of the Mississippi Drive project and pushed it out into the next summer, which pushed out the 2nd Street and added a whole year to what could have been 2 or 3 years. And so, in my estimate, I think the original projections for Mississippi Drive, 2nd Street, and Grandview, just for example, and I think it included Parkview, was 3 to 4 years if you throw in Parkview. And at this point in time, we're running on 5 to 6 year projection. And again, it's great that we get the projects done, but stretching that out over a long period of time not only impacts the people immediately in the area, but I hear a lot of people talk about being on a list to have our potholes fixed, and they never know where they're out on the list. And obviously, as attention is drawn, more and more resources are drawn into a longer, drawn-out project, the list gets pushed back. And so that's not very good customer service. There are a lot of good things. I don't want to say I'm complaining or anything, but that is something I can bring to the table. I've been managing high-dollar projects for 35 years. I have a $71 million budget that goes out 20 years. 20 years is a long plan, but I guarantee in about 5 years out, 3 years out, I know what's going to happen. I'm sure the city has that as well, but we lay it out in much more detail. I can tell that we sequence it better.
Okay.
And when for example, let's say 3 years out, let's say there's 2 major projects to do, and we pick a detour route that gets through that town. We project it that far in advance. This is what life is going to look like 3 years out. Here's the construction projects that are coming that year. And then that part stays solid. But as smaller projects come in, we always look for a way to fit those in to the base projects that have to happen in a certain year so that they're least impact. Versus now we tend to push things out a year.
So you correct me if I'm hearing this wrong, but you are planning on not necessarily volunteering, but being a part of the team that helps with this, as opposed to just merely passing along complaints, quite frankly, to city staff. Like you want to be a part of the solution.
I plan on being part of the solution, whatever it takes.
Because you'll have this information and background and would offer to share it.
I mean, ultimately, as Carol, our business manager, said for the city, the mayor is the executive, the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
The council makes the laws and sets the direction, and I will play within those bounds. However, I think there's a certain amount of leadership and coaching that can go on, and I've got a lot of experience coaching people into culture change for providing good service while still getting the project done. I mean, I am an engineer. I've been one for 35 years. We typically tend to be very focused on the objective, and this is the job. The cement got poured, the curbs got done, the grass got laid, we're done, and on out there. And like I said, sometimes we leave some bodies in our wake.
If you watch a city council meeting, there's so many other things involved in a community, but if you watch a city council meeting, the things you are talking about are the issues that kind of come up a lot. Mm-hmm. And even though there is a city engineer specifically in charge of this, public works director, the city council person does tend to get the communication from the residents and then kind of choose how to communicate. It sounds like in certain aspects you have the background and expertise to kind of help and maybe even help the citizens understand what's happening, because some things might just need explained, because it could be a head scratcher because the citizens aren't the ones making the decisions, and there's a lot that goes on when you're planning some of these city decisions. I would like to switch to the next topic just so we can get to it. Okay, go ahead.
Just a little point. I think I can help council. I mean, council doesn't have this level of experience. No one running today has that experience except for one candidate for mayor. And we're missing that.
Former city engineer.
Yeah. So we're missing that.
That's
so
something you mentioned. We got
to have those conversations when we're making decisions. We can't go out and find that information, and so.
Now you mentioned there's 2 other candidates. I do not have their last names memorized at the moment, but Allie and Josiah. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned in the article that we're blessed to have three good candidates. But you did mention, because at some point somebody's got to make a decision.
Yes.
They're not just gonna draw straws. But you mentioned you're the most qualified. I think you've kind of alluded to what you meant by that, mm-hmm. is that you bring those kind of qualifications. But what are your thoughts on why people should vote for you? As far as the options that they have laid in front of them, and just kind of in general pitch as far as that goes with respect to your qualifications.
Okay. I think people should vote for me because I have a good track record of getting things done. I've gotten a lot of things done here in Muscatine. I've got a lot of things done in my career. Anybody, I think you'll find that we're all, even not just outside of my second ward, among the three of us, a lot of people are running on the same things: housing, customer service, and all those things. I have a track record of delivering those things beyond just identifying the problem.
And you mentioned with housing, a lot of times we wonder why 60% of people that work here don't live here. And then we see a lot of low-income housing, which is needed, but what you mentioned in your article was that the studies have shown that we also need some high-quality housing too, because that's where, if we only have, at the current time, 17 houses on the market is what I heard as of this date. Elaborate a little bit on how you would get that done, because that's easier said than done, obviously, but it's an important factor if we want more people to live here. They have to have a house to move into,
Yeah. First of all, we need to make it visible. Currently, like I said, we had this housing study done 5 years ago or so. It said we needed housing across the board. So far, we've attracted the lower income housing. We've either have permits out or we are building about twice as much as what the survey recommended. We really don't have any current projects going on in the mid to upper levels. It's important to me, and I know it's important. I know it's alive and well, even though that study was 5 years ago. It's probably even underestimated. The impact is when we can't find young professional housing, a lot of them check into our bed and breakfast, and they want it for a long period of time because they know they're in for a long slog. They came here, they looked at houses, they couldn't find anything, so then they're literally saying, they will pay a premium to live in our bed and breakfast for like a month, 2 months,
wow.
because they're looking, and that's not our model. We're not set up for that. There's not a lot of availability for that temporary housing. Eventually, they move, in their own minds, maybe temporarily to the Quad Cities, Iowa City. They still work here. They love their job here. They love Muscatine. They keep looking. Eventually, they find a spouse in the area. They get married, they have kids, and then they're never coming back. And eventually they find a job outside of Muscatine, and we are, our employers and our economy has to start over every time we lose a family.
Right.
We're losing them before they even exist. So that's why it's important. How I would do it? Quite frankly, I'll just be very transparent. There was a proposal for $52 million on Carver Corner. I think that company or a company like it can be brought back. I would follow a similar process where we put a request for proposal out there and we get it done.
Let's merge, is like I say. I just randomly thought of that word just now.
Yeah, now
but
merge,
I'm talking about the merge development. And
I have got no skin in the game specifically with merge, but we need to either get them back to the table or start again with another request for proposal or whatever that looks like.
And the pushback on that was that the grocery store in there was going to be higher end groceries, so that doesn't accommodate the South End residents. But when you pour in $52 million into the community, everybody prospers, every community grows,
Exactly.
and now there would have been a grocery store down in the South End area, so that you don't have to travel to Walmart. But you have to, when people offer to develop. And I think there was a way to have a Peace Park or World Peace Park integrated into that structure, because that was the other proposal. As it sits, crickets.
It's a 9-acre site. The proposal that was there took anywhere from 5 to 7 acres of it. There would have been at least 2 acres, maybe 3 or 4, of free and open space where a park-like setting could have been made. Now, as far as whether that would have been a high-end grocery store or not, I disagree.
Okay.
There was 300 apartments in that complex. Certain individuals on the council, without experience, quite frankly, assumed that, oh, well, that's going to be a high-end grocery store because that's the building it's going to be in. A grocery store can't live on the people that work in 300 apartments. They would have had to have been broad-based across the community. The merge proposal came in with about 10,000 square feet of retail. There was some fear that, we don't have some of our downtown stores full and all those other things. However, the merge came to the table and said, we know about 3 grocers. We will contact them. If it's economically viable, they will put a grocery store in there.
Bringing that in, well, you are a retailer, so for you not to be concerned, it's kind of like, right there's the proof in the pudding that you are a successful retailer in several different ways, and you kind of got the big picture. That merge development, their portfolio is amazing, and I was quoting a city council member because I assumed that was a factual thing, but they changed their mind at some point, and it was kind of too late. Like, that was a red flag for merge. And can we get them back? I don't know, but I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because that was kind of an answer to, that was a solution to a lot of problems right there falling right into our lap.
Well, and I got asked, what if they move a jeweler in there? We'll adapt. I mean, at the end of the day, Walmart, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, they all locate next to each other right across the street from each other for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, bringing in 300 apartments at $1,000 to $1,500 a month floats all boats.
Right. And
if we can't figure out how to adapt our store to their needs if they come to town, and another jeweler comes in and takes our lunch, so be it. I mean, it's beyond our store. It's about Muscatine.
Yeah.
That kind of economy dropped in the middle of South End and the downtown area would have been a boom.
Wow.
And we need to make it happen.
For South End especially, it's like who had the most to gain along those lines. And it's the gateway to our community from both directions. And if there were 7 jewelry stores, you guys are jeweler, but I just think now Muscatine's a destination for people that are in the market for that sort of thing. You know, so I think it's a
Jewelry store
win-win.
on every block downtown.
Yeah.
There was literally 7 of them downtown at one point in time.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I think we can get a park there too, whether we want to make it a peace park or anything else, particularly merge. Number one, they're masters at brownfield sites. It's a brownfield corner. There's a lot of risk in that. There's a lot of cleanup.
Okay.
You know, once you test it, you have to clean it up, and you have to report to the government that it got done correctly, and they're experts at that. Also, they, you know, like I said, it floats all boats.
And you are kind of giving the potential voters an opportunity to realize that you do spend some time thinking things through and researching and kind of knowing what you're talking about in a long-winded way. And that might be what you're talking about when you're talking about your experiences, that in your successful career ambitions, this was something important. And it's always interesting how much you do know about so many different things, but they're always focused on the community, and kind of seems to make you, among all the people that are brave enough to run for council and serve our community for basically volunteering, you know. Mm-hmm. Give shout out to all of them, and I hope that they all can join me on the show. But especially, that's just always interesting to see how much you do know and think about things along those lines to help the community you've chosen to live in.
Thank you, John.
Is there anything you would like to add? Go ahead and address the camera, if you will. It can be whatever you want to say, but you've got 2 minutes to. Floor is yours. If there's anything we forgot to talk about or whatnot.
Okay, well, I'll just review. I'm passionate about the job. I think if this was a job application, I would be the highest qualified candidate for it. I'm not the best politician, might not win the election. That's just a fact. However, I am willing to serve. I'd love to serve. I think I bring something to the table that the current council currently doesn't have, and not many of the candidates have. My opponents are good people. They're passionate, and I love their energy. And I really am excited about Second Ward's opportunities this time. We have about 3 different ways of looking at things. We're all focused on the same thing, and we just can't lose this time. So I'm really happy for our voters this go around.
Well, great. Well said. And I appreciate your positive, uplifting attitude, especially in the world that we kind of live in. And I'm talking about more of on a global level, but that's what we need right now, is to have a nice, fun, well-intended election. And like you said, you can't lose this year. You know?
We can't lose.
So I'd like to thank Jeff for coming out on the show. My name is Chad Bishop. Now we will be inviting Second Ward candidate Allie has been invited. Josiah has been invited. He's unconfirmed at the moment. But everybody can come out to the show that's running for office. You're all definitely welcome, and hopefully I get a chance to contact all of you. But please know that you're all welcome to be on the show and can come out. You can give me a call at 288-6070 or email me if you want to be a guest, if you're running for office, especially right now. But this show is about more than just political situations. That's just what we're focusing on right now. But we can talk about any sort of local viewpoint that you want to bring out. I like to have opposing viewpoints a lot of times. It just makes for entertaining TV, but more importantly, we get some things accomplished when we hear both sides of the perspective. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Channel 9, watching us on our YouTube or on our Facebook, and of course our MPW Channel 9 channel. My name is Chad Bishop. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.